This is Lily.
I'm a makeup vlogger. I learned a lot about makeup through YouTube and different videos and social media.
We're going here for a
Natural glam.
Natural glam that shows you guys a lot of the steps that are involved in makeup that can make you go a little crazy if you hear them and you don't know what you're doing. And we're gonna jump in.
Yeah, let's jump into
Let's do it.
So I always start with a moisturizer. I like this one right now. It's a Soap and Glory one. It's really inexpensive. It's from Walgreens.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think what's important is to figure out what kind of skin type you have before we start. Even if you are oily, you should over moisturize because it helps your skin balance back out and create its own moisture a little bit less, actually. And I put about like probably a pea size amount. You don't need very much. Oh my god, I can't. And I always focus it on my T-zone where I get the oiliest, which the T-zone is right here down, and I count my cheeks in that. I think this is the most important step, the stuff before the makeup. This will seem like a lot, but it's kind of one of those things that you can use what you want. So if you're not comfortable using blush, I know a lot of people who aren't, don't use blush. I guess, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the Professional by Benefit. It's a pore minimizer. I like this one because I do have acne and acne scars. I think a lot of people struggle with that, and that's why a lot of people don't wear makeup, is because they're scared it'll give them more acne. That's actually why I got into makeup, is because I had acne. I put a teeny tiny bit. This isn't just for people with acne. It's for anybody can use this. I love this. It does help mattify also. I really rub it between my fingers and I pat. You want to pat it so that you're filling in your pores, but I put it anywhere that I do have any like lines of demarcation, any acne scars, anything like that. And then I do go in and I smooth it after it's been patted in because it has filled those pores and now it's being smoothed over those pores. I think that's a misconception a little bit about your face, is that it's all the same. Like how you use an eye primer versus a regular face primer. So speaking of eye primer, we'll go in with some eye primer. I personally prefer the MAC Paint Pot, but I know Alyssa uses the Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I also have that one, and I really like that one. It just depends what you want, so like, I don't think this is a necessary step, but if you find that you put on eyeshadow and it doesn't stay on all day, this is actually a really important factor in why it's not wearing. So when you are using eyeshadow, I recommend either putting your concealer all over your eye or an eye primer. I use a brush personally, but you can also just dip in with your finger. So Alyssa, you use the brush. And that should be enough for probably both of your eyes. I dot it on each one and then I blend it out. I like to take the butt of my beauty blender, I just usually dot it on just because I want to make sure it's all blended in. Now this is a step that I think people find really difficult, which is crazy, but foundation. So I'll show you two that I'm really into right now. One on the high end, one on the low end, and both very different coverage. I like the Born This Way by Too Faced. A lot of people think this is a full coverage. I would say this is a medium to full. I do like the CoverGirl Clean Fresh. This is marketed as more of like almost like a BB cream, very light coverage, but I do find that it does cover a lot of acne scars, any lines of demarcation, any redness, things like that. Yeah.
So I have been using this Mirabella Skin Tint Cream. Ta-da. I've been using this brush, then I go back in and do full coverage with a beauty blender.
Yeah, I actually do the same thing, and I do recommend that for fuller coverage out of a foundation. So what I do is I like to spread it evenly. I find that usually 1 to 2 pumps is all I need, and I got a big head, like, let's be real. I find that doing it this way actually maximizes the amount of foundation I have and I'm using. And I bring it all the way down the neck. And then I stipple, and then I circular stipple. I do take this is an Eco Tools sponge, which I really like this one because it does have the flat edge.
Yeah, I like that. Mine doesn't have that.
And always dampen your sponge. I just like can't say that enough. It really maximizes your foundation and also helps to press it in the skin.
Wow, I really can tell a difference from dampening it.
Yeah, it helps to blend it out faster.
Yeah.
What I then do is the tiny bit of foundation residue I have on my sponge, I press just on the nose. when you're wearing all just one color foundation and then you do the same color of concealer, you look really flat. And you want to add some depth and dimension back into your face because that's what a real face looks like, right? So you have the Tarte Shape Tape.
Yes.
Which I also have that.
Actually, this was recommended to me by a blogger,
Yeah.
Jaden Hooper. She is on Facebook and Instagram at Sincerely Mrs. Hooper, and she's adorable. She shows really affordable looks, and she just gives recommendations on, like, she did a Forever 21 haul and stuff like that. So
I'm going to use the e.l.f. 24-hour Camo Concealer. This one's really affordable. I think it's like $4. Seriously.
Really?
And it's really good. But I had to get everything in the lightest shade because I am just so pale. Less is always more. I know a lot of people like to do the big triangle and pretty much bring the concealer down your face, but for me personally, I do something a little bit like this. I do a little bit on my nose, a little on the lip, just the high points of the face. And I dot it on because I find that it's easier to blend this way. And then I just blend it in, really stamping it, and then kind of circular with the sponge.
Okay, so I'm going to try your tactic because I usually go the triangles. And
The more is more.
Yes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I feel like, you know, we could have different colors. It could be like a clown look.
Yes, definitely a polka dot person look. Like on the Hunger Games. So I like to, with my concealer, I pat it and then I kind of am dragging it down just a tad. So this is just adding highlights to where you do have some darkness on your face, maybe naturally, like bags under your eyes, and it's really just emphasizing the fact that, no, this is a bright area. With concealer, a lot of people just stop right here. And no, definitely bring that up into the brow area to make sure it's blended.
Okay, let's see. Am I doing good?
Oh yeah,
Good.
very, very blended. Next, what I like to do is bake, and when I was talking to Alyssa before, like, we started, she said she likes to bake.
Me too.
I like to bake. If you have dry skin, I wouldn't. I like to use this Maybelline Fit Me powder. It's in the lightest shade. I think it's in 50 Fair. I really like this one. What I like to do is I open it upside down, and then inside is the powder already sifted. So I dip in right here with into the powder, and what I like to do is I bake right under the eye like this. And it seems like a lot, but I really like this.
Ooh.
And then I got a little bit of craziness again. So I do bake a little bit right here. And a little tiny bit on the nose, because again, the less product on the nose, the less likely it is to slip off. So I try not to put too much. And I just take that, and with the excess powder, I do put it a little bit on my cheeks.
Okay.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got that? Oh, yeah. Cute.
That is good. So next, I like to go back in and add some shadow to the face. We have a lot of highlight going on, but we really want to add that shadow back. This is the Morphe NC palette. You can see it's very well loved in certain shades. I also just would recommend a bronzer, but for me personally, I do like to go back in with a contour. Contour is definitely usually more of a cool tone color. It's more to match the shadow. Bronzer is supposed to be warm tone and make you look sun-kissed. I start by going in with more of a cool tone contour color, which I would say are these bottom three. I would say for contour, you want a smaller brush. I take this kind of flat tipped, like this flat edged Real Techniques brush, and I take a little bit of that middle shade. And what you want to do whenever you're using a powder that's not on a sponge, you want to tap off the excess. I go in right where, if you go like this, you can kind of see a line coming down. So, and it's going to look crazy. Like, yes, I know this absolutely looks very crazy.
I thought it looked good.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And what you want to do is blend it. But the thing is, right now, you're not going to have to blend it completely out. That's what more powder is for. That's why we didn't really set the cheeks, is because we are going to go back in with some colored powders. I do rub this down the jawline. Contour is really, the purpose of it is to try to cut down things and make them look smaller. Again, if you feel like you put on too much product, don't worry. It will
blend, hopefully.
It will blend. Yes, it will blend. So then I like to take that a little bit of an ashier color, really on a smaller fluffy brush to make the nose look smaller, which most people do want. Alyssa, your bridge of your nose is already pretty small, so I wouldn't contour the bridge so much as I would contour the tip. So what I do is, again, take that color, dust off the excess, and you're going to really start it at the bottom of the tip and really as light as possible. Then what I do is I take it up the sides. And you don't want to focus it too much at the top because you do have a smaller bridge right here.
Okay.
So you're really going to focus in on adding that shadow right here where the tip meets the bridge. I do connect it almost to my eyebrow. I live for that. So I do have this Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer. This thing is seriously as big as my head. What I do then is I do take a fluffy brush and I'm taking a bronzer that is definitely warm tone. This is warm tone. So what I do is I swirl the brush around.
I'm living for this brush right now. Look at how big
it's
that
a
is.
giant. And tap off the excess. And then what I do is where we contoured a little bit higher, we are going to bronze. Very lightly. And then we're going to swirl a little bit more. I just think less is more. Going in with less and really building it up with more product is what's going to help you. And then we're going along the jawline. I would, for you, even though you do have a smaller forehead, bring some color back in the face with bronzer and use a little bit toward your forehead.
Okay.
Your contour is crazy. I'm sorry, Alyssa.
No, it's okay. It needs a little work here. Okay, so what can I do to help this?
Okay, so to help your contour, I would take a smaller brush that's more...
Hey, I have that one.
Are you serious?
I really do. Look at this.
They're twins. You put a little bit too much contour on, but honestly, it's fine because that's like I think that's like a very common problem. It's something that you have to learn to kind of do. It's just, again, less is more. Any mistake, I would take a beauty blender and really just kind of try to bring some of the craziness like downward. Does that make sense? And then add some bronzer back in.
There we go.
What I do then is I take that again on our flat side, and because this is looking crazy, you're going to clean it up like this. And that brings light back under the part that's very like unblended. I take it along the bridges of my nose, along the sides of my nose here, where I nose contoured to make sure that it is really nice. And then again, where I added bronzer back on the face, I'm just going to use any of that excess and help to blend that up because we are adding a little bit of pigment. Yes, that's good.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And you want to leave that on to bake because it does saturate a little bit more. I take another powder and I like to use these lighter ones, and this is when we're going to dust off the bake. I use one of these three. I mix them all. I saturate it with powder, and then what I do is on those lines where we want to kind of blend out, I take this over it because we're making it a little bit less harsh. This is like a flatter, fluffier brush, and that's what I would do for you, Alyssa.
And then tap, tap just a little, and then just holding.
Yep, and we're just really trying to buff out.
Okay, what are we thinking? Do we need more fixing or on both sides, or?
I think it's okay. I think it looks a lot better. And then we're going to dust off the rest of our bake under our eyes and everything. That looks good.
Good? Okay,
Yeah.
and then I just dust this.
Yep.
Dust. Okay.
That looks nice.
Thanks.
We're going to move on to blush, and then we're going to do eyes. This is an Anastasia Beverly Hills blush trio. This one's in Pink Passion. Again, I'm a cool tone skin tone. I'm very pale, so I like to use blushes that are a little bit more pinky. But I would say that if you're more warm tone and do have a bit tanner skin, I would use a peachier. And then this is an affordable version from Flower Beauty, and this one is the Flower Pots, and it's in Peach Primrose. And I would use this one if I were you because it's a little bit peachier. I mean, you can use whatever the heck you want. It's just some are more flattering than others. I like to take a small fluffy brush, and for me, I dip into all of these. They're kind of all the same. And I dust off the excess. And a lot of blush is really popular right now, and I love it. I focus it right here on the cheek, and I start blending it out. Okay, so we can do eyes next. I really love this. The Nubian by Juvia's Place. And it's this teeny tiny travel palette.
Oh, it's so cute.
And I find that this is really great for beginners who you don't want to use a lot of colors. We'll do like maybe a one brush look. You start with a very nude color. This is easy because they're already picked for you.
With a fluffy brush?
Yes. Okay. I would say this is a medium density fluffy brush, so it's tapered a little bit at the top. That means it gets a little bit smaller at the top. This one's nice because pretty much this is a transition shade, or this one is. And I am going to go for this shade. So you're wanting to take a neutral brown, almost the same color as what you would bronze with. Make sure that your eyeshadow primer is tapped out because it maybe has crease throughout this. And what I do is I start on the outer corner right here. And I'm tapping, tap, 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 all the way into the crease, into the corner of the eye. And we're creating that initial line that's very, very harsh. We're going to blend it out. So again, take just a tad bit more shadow, and we're going to start doing those circular motions and blend it out. I like to take my shadow up and out just a little bit, but it's whatever your eye shape is. I just usually like to follow the line of my natural shape. I personally go almost all the way up to my brow. That's why I like to do brows after eyeshadow. I'm going to go into this dark brown. Any type of dark brown works. Anywhere from deep to medium brown. Again, taking that and tapping the excess. And then what we do is we go just into this corner here. And we tap, and then we blend. And we're just barely blending into the corner. We're doing almost like a V-shaped look. And then I'm going back in with my fluffy brush and I'm blending. So you're just packing on color and then you blend. Then I take that dark brown again and I'm putting it under my eye right here. It's looking a little crazy, but that's fine. We're taking that tan transition color back that we put in the crease, and we're going to put that under the eye. And then you can always take your brush again that had translucent powder and kind of sweep any of the excess off the under eye. I'm looking like ready to go out somewhere and have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Then what I do is any type of shimmery neutral shade, I take it on my finger like this. This is a really buttery, very, very buttery neutral.
Butter.
Shimmer shade. Oh my god, I love that. Butter. And I pack that on the lid. And then what I like to do is I go back in with that small brush. I don't put any more shadow on it, but I blend out the edge between the shimmer and the matte. And then on the bottom, you can either take a small brush, or I just use my finger again and just kind of press that up into the corner.
So yeah, this was supposed to be simple.
You can always tone it down, but Alyssa has the too much gene. Okay. And if you feel that it's not blending, you get a little bit more of that dark brown and you blend it in with it, but it's like this. I like to use a spoolie, obviously brush them up. Don't look at this eyebrow because I accidentally cut it off when I was trimming my brows. So what I like to do is just follow my natural shape. That's what I recommend for everybody. I think don't be too crazy. I'm following the natural shape of my brow. I personally follow it with a pencil first because I find that it lays the brow hairs down a little bit better. I don't have much of a tail, so I fill it in quite a bit. But if you have a good tail, I wouldn't fill it in quite as much as I am right now. Okay. Then I like to spoolie the product in, but to blend it. I say usually you want to draw it to the edge of your... Then what I do is I take an angled flat brow brush like this, or an eyeliner brush, it doesn't matter. And I go into... This is a brow palette and it has powders. I usually take a darker powder on the outer, like, so the outer edge of my eyebrow, so the tail, and then I take a lighter powder on the inside. So I'm going to take that dark powder and work it on the outer edge of my brow, and it's going to look a little crazy, but again, everything kind of looks a little crazy until we blend. So now I'm going to take that little bit lighter of powder and focus that a bit more in here. Just depending on your preference, I go back in them with a gel, an eyebrow gel. So this is a NYX one.
This is a little sample in an Ipsy
Oh my
box.
gosh, I love the Benefit one.
Benefit, so cute.
So next I'm going to go into highlight. This is Vanilla Quartz by Becca. I take this on the high points of my face. I think like I wear highlight when I don't even wear makeup. I put it here. And I do it on a semi-fluffy brush. It doesn't really matter the size. You don't want it to be too big. But, oh my god, Alyssa, look at that. I put a little bit on my brow bone.
Oh, yeah, pretty.
I put a little bit on the bridge of my nose right here. Put a little tiny bit on my chin. If you're wanting to be extra, if you don't want to be extra, just put it on your cheeks pretty much.
We're a little extra here.
But
Already.
I always take my finger, take a teeny tiny little bit, and I boop the nose. And then I take it and I blend it just a little bit. Next what I do is I take a setting spray. This is the Rimmel Stay Matte. I use a lot of different kind. I don't think it really matters. They're all kind of the same. Yep, so I use a curler, which I need to freaking clean.
I think I have one of those somewhere.
I curl my lashes. And then we're both using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I really like this one. I get it in minis because I find that Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara is one of the best mascaras, arguably, on the market. The problem is, I think that the full tubes dry out really fast.
I agree because, yes, we're going to order minis from now
And,
on.
like, if you're ever looking to try a new mascara, always order the mini. Because why would you order a full size and then hate it, you know? I like to kind of do almost like a blinking motion with it. For the first, like, layer, I usually do 2 layers of mascara. Always try to move the lashes almost in, like, a diagonal. Because I find that they sit better if you're trying to move them almost this direction. Yes, because then I find that they stand up a little bit straighter. I can show it. And I just kind of shake them on the bottom. So I wipe my lips off. This is a really nice lipstick. This Marc Jacobs in the shade Eat Cake. This is my favorite. This is like my lips but better color. It's like a pink. And I love this color.
It's pretty.
This is more the, like, if I were wearing this out, this is the
Yeah,
lip
that's
I
super
would do
cute.
probably.
Yeah,
any of the steps that we did today, you can do any of them. You can do all of them. You can do half of them. Like, it's just kind of personal preference of what you're comfortable doing. And I think, like, makeup is just one of those things, step outside your comfort zone. Like, it doesn't just have to be foundation every day and powder. Like, it's fun to do a little bit of eyeshadow. It's fun to do a new lipstick, things like that. This was a very basic glam. Use what you want out of it. The highlight is like,
I know. If you tuned in and you listened to all this, thank you. Hoping to bring you guys a lot more content and some more guests like Lily. And she has her own YouTube.
Yep, Lily Kate Freddy.
So,
and my Instagram is the same, Lily Kate Freddy. So.
Yep. And TikTok too.
TikTok, yeah, they're all the same, Lily Kate Freddy.
I will link my contact info down below. Thank you for watching.